Hey, my name is Clint Dupin, and I'm one of the pastors here at Eastown. So thankful that you joined us today. I think the next few minutes are going to have an impact on your life. Before we get into that, I want to just mention a few things. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, whatever platform, I want you to subscribe because I believe the messages that we share are going to have an impact on your life. I also want to encourage you to share these messages because I think they can impact others as well. One of the things I always encourage people to do, if you're in the San Ramon area, I want to encourage you to drop in. In person is always better, right? So if you're in the East Bay of San Francisco, I would love to meet you. Now, our mission is all about bringing the love and the hope of Jesus Christ. Because I believe if you discover Jesus and you choose to follow Jesus, it will radically change your life and you will live in a life of freedom. I want you to consider one more thing. If Eastown has had an impact in your life, I want you to consider giving because we could not do it without the generosity of people like you. You can do that safely by going to easttown.church/give or simply downloading our Easttown Church app and you can give safely there as well. Hey, today is going to be great. And I believe it will have an impact on your life. I hope you enjoy.
What's up, Eastown? I know that song is so powerful. Maybe it resonated with you in the room today. I shared in the first service this. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got news that one of my students who had graduated a few years back had taken his own life. And I wish I could go back in time and play that song. To show him that there is a God who loves him. There's a God who cares about him. That whatever burden he was facing, whatever things he was challenging, going through, that he wasn't alone. And I don't know what you're bringing into the room. I know this is a hard start, a heavy start, but I don't know what you're bringing into the room, but I want you to know that there is a God who loves you and wants to take those burdens from you, wants to take the weight off of your shoulders because he loves you and he cares about you. This is the gospel. Is that he's come to set you free. And so again, I don't know what you're facing. I don't know what you're struggling with, but I want you to know he's there for you, that he wants to rescue you from that. I'm going to pray, and then we'll jump right into our new series. God, thank you for this morning. Thank you for the opportunity we have to just learn more about your way. God, I pray that if we know anything this morning, it's that we're loved by you, and there's always a way out. The burdens, although they seem so heavy, you are there. You want us to experience not just rest, but soul rest. And God, we love you. In your name, amen. All right, so if we never met, my name is Evan. It's nice to meet you. My leadership team here at Eastown. No, okay, that's 2 people clapping. And we are in a new series called Restored, and we're talking about rest. No, just keep playing the bongos. Don't clap. I love that guy in the bongos. I told him outside, I was like, he brings so much joy to my heart with those bongos. So we are in a new series called Restored, and we're talking a little bit about rest, about renewal, right? And so I'm going to show you a picture. I grew up in upstate New York, and this is really close to nearby where I grew up. Can we go to that second picture? And this is called Split Rock, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So what you could do is you could climb up and around these falls and you could jump into these pools of water from varying heights, right? And you go, I'd go with my friends and we'd be like, who's going to jump from the highest, right? Because it was 20, 40, and then there was a 65-foot jump where you really had to like angle out or you would smash your head open on a rock. And so me and my friends would do all of that. We would go and we would jump from these things. But what was really interesting about these is when you hit that pool of water, either that top one or that bottom one, you had to start swimming immediately to get out. Because what would happen is there was this like undercurrent that you could feel pull you. And every summer, like 2 or 3 people would die from here because they would get sucked under and the current would pull them back and you just had to swim like crazy. And you're probably wondering, why did you go there? My mom thought the same thing. She's like, don't go there anymore. And I would still do it. But I tell you this story because I believe it's really applicable to the way we live our lives today. There is a current that is pulling at you, that is pulling you away, and you have to decide between the two of those. Are you going to let the world kind of pull you towards its way of like, hey, success at all costs, you do you, all of those kind of things, or are you going to swim like crazy to experience something different? And the thing that I want to tell you to experience this morning is the way of Jesus. Now, the way of Jesus, here, I got a great quote for you from a very great author named Henry Nouwen, who I would recommend that you read. The great spiritual call of our time is to move from belonging to the world to belonging to God. swim like crazy. This is my encouragement to you this morning. I have a pair of shorts for exercising and working out, obviously, and on them they say, nothing changes if nothing changes. Meaning, look, you may be experiencing like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burdened, things are really, really tough. And then you're not actually putting any practices into place to change that. So my encouragement to you this morning is try to just implement a few of these things that I mentioned this morning and move from belonging to the world to belonging to God. When Christianity first started, it was often called the way, because Jesus is saying there is a way that is almost countercultural that I want you to live by. And when you live this way, you will experience something different. And this is especially true of rest. In my day job, I'm a high school teacher. And one of the strategies that they do is they tell you, teachers will tell you at the beginning of the lesson what they want you to know so you have it. So I'm going to do that. Here's what I want you to know. By the end of this is all, if you could take away one thing today, here's what I want you to know. So maybe you're a writer-downer, write this down. Maybe you're a typer, type it down. Maybe you're a picture it down. We don't find rest by escaping our burdens. We find rest by exchanging our burdens for the yoke of Jesus. I'm going to unpack that. And here's the key question. What am I carrying that Jesus has invited me to surrender? I'm going to read that one more time. We don't find rest by escaping our burdens. We find rest by exchanging our burdens for the yoke of Jesus. Ask yourself this question. What am I carrying that Jesus has invited me to surrender? When's the last time, don't answer me this out loud, but that you really felt rested? Not like crashed on your couch after a long week of parenting, of working, which by the way, parenting is like 3 times work. Not the crash, not like, oh, I just turned on Netflix and I passed out. When's the last time that you experienced really like soul level rest? Think about that for a second, because I just got the opportunity this week to experience it, and it was really cool, and I'm gonna describe it for you. We took, my wife and I took our kids. We have 2 of our own, and we have 2 foster kids. So we have 4 children. My house is not a place of rest. My house is a place of like chaos and like people climbing on the walls and the ceiling and things like that. It's wild. So there's a few times where I walk in my home and I go, oh, it's so peaceful. So we took them up to Truckee near Tahoe, and we were on this Donner Lake area, and the kids were kind of playing. And I told my wife I'm going to go paddleboarding. We have paddleboards. I love to paddleboard. And there's like boats all around. There's people screaming and yelling. And it's not super restful, but I'm like paddleboarding, trying not to get hit by a boat and things like that. And I'm going, and then there's this creek that you can kind of paddleboard up. And all of a sudden, all the noise disappeared. All the chaos went away. And I found my mind and my body and my heart rate even all began to just go and slow down. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. I haven't experienced this a whole lot. And I began to talk to God, and it was this really fascinating experience where I was just kind of sharing the things I was nervous about, the things I was struggling about, the things I was going through with God. And it's not like he was like, oh, here's the answers to your problems, but I felt this peace in my heart of like, okay, this is okay. I can paddleboard back to my family and my life and and all those kind of things. And I can do this because I've got God with me. I would encourage you to find spaces like that, because a lot of times what we probably know about ourselves is we have not experienced something like that very often. But the reason is often that we don't take time or kind of carve out space intentionally in our lives to experience that. Now, look, if you're like a single parent, you can't just paddleboard away from your life, right? I understand that this is different for different people. It's going to look a little bit, you got to create that on your own. But finding that time. Too often people are like, oh, I never hear from God. I never have the opportunity to talk to God. And I'm like, well, do you put your phone down? Do you turn off Netflix for a little bit? Do you wake up a little bit earlier and be actually intentional with your time and your energy to experience that? Because maybe you will. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit I was going to go into this whole thing about the cultural reality around us, that we're really connected, but we're anxious, that burnout rates are at all-time high, that anxiety is off the charts. But I think we know this. We talk about this a lot at Eastown, right? People need rest. My guess is you walked in here, heard that we were talking about rest, and at some part of you was like, that's nice. I'd like to have that. I'd love to experience a little bit of rest. I think that all of us, like I said, is this resonates. Because look, when we have conversations with each other, what's the first thing we usually say? How are you? And what do people say back? They either say fine or they say busy. And then someone's like, oh, I'm actually really busy too. I'm a little bit busier than you are. And that person's like, well, I'm like a little bit busier than that, right? It's this like weird competition to see who's the most busy. Imagine if we were like, someone was like, how are you? And they're like, oh, I took a week off of work just to relax. People would be like, what's wrong with you, right? Because we have this mental like idea, this cultural idea of like push, go, succeed at all costs. We don't take time to rest. You do, just chase your dreams, but never actually like take a step back and take a breath. And the core of the problem is not simply that we're just like really busy and we like overload our schedules. The problem is that we are often carrying burdens that Jesus never designed us to carry. And I want you to know today that Jesus offers a different way than the world offers. The world tells you succeed at all costs, chase your dreams, right? Make everyone around you happy, all those kind of things, all those messages. And Jesus says, you don't have to carry those things. I've actually come that you can have freedom and freedom in me and this life beyond that you've imagined. In fact, in John 10, it says, I've come that you have life to the fullest. And a part of that involves rest. So we're going to unpack a verse from Matthew in 11, 28 through 30. It goes like this. You can follow along, you take a picture. You could even have a Bible. That'd be cool. Then Jesus said, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens. My guess is there's people in this room right now who go, yep, that's me. And I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light. I want you to notice something in here, right? Jesus at the very beginning says, come to me. He does not say, go get it together. Go like rework your schedule and then come to me. Jesus says, come to me because he is inviting you into a relationship with him. Many of you maybe have grown up around religion and you've missed out that you thought like, oh, I just have to perform and do all of these kind of things. And you've missed out that Jesus actually wants to have a relationship with you. Some of you may be walking in here and church is new for you. And I want you to hear that very clearly is that it's about Jesus. The gospel is about Jesus desiring to have a relationship with you. Not that you have to come in here and perform and do all the right things and sit the right way and wear the right clothes or whatever. Jesus wants to have a relationship with you and for you to experience a life beyond. All right, so let's jump right in. Point one, we are all wearing a yoke. You'll notice a yoke, not egg. You'll notice in that verse that he talks about his yoke. And so what is a yoke? I have a picture for you. Check this out. That is a yoke, not the two animals. Those are oxen. So what happens in like agrarian agricultural time periods is people would use oxen to pull really heavy loads like wagons or agricultural things. I'm clearly not a farmer. And they would put this on them and it would help kind of guide them. A yoke actually represents direction and guidance, authority, and purpose, right? It's saying, hey, I can control the way you're going to go and the path by which you go by putting this yoke upon you. And Jesus knows something, and this is key for all of us to know, is that everybody has one. We all do. And you might be like, I don't. You do. The question is not, do I have one, will I have one? But the question is, whose yoke am I wearing? And I'll give you some examples of what this might look like. In this time period, when Jesus is talking to people, everyone would have automatically known what that was. And he's talking to people who are primarily Jewish in Israel. And many of them are trying to follow this Old Testament law. And there are 633 commandments, rules, things that they have to follow. And by the way, does that sound intimidating? Does that sound overwhelming? Like, oh, did I do this right? Did I do that right? Did I follow this one? Did I make a mistake here? And if they made a mistake, they'd have to immediately go to their local temple, ask for forgiveness, make sure they never did it again. And it was like overwhelming and burdensome for so many people. And Jesus says this in Matthew. He says to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of religious laws and the Pharisees, who like are the official interpreters of this law, right? He says, practice and obey whatever they tell you, but don't follow their example. For they don't practice what they teach. They crush people with unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease the burden. So many people during this time period were feeling like crushed by the weight of responsibility to follow these laws to the letter. And they're like, I can't do it. I'm constantly failing. Now, my guess is there's nobody in the room, if there is somebody in the room, I respect you, who is trying to follow Old Testament law in their day-to-day. But my guess is you are kind of saddled by a different yoke of expectation in your life. I'm going to list some of these, and then I want you to see if they resonate. Because when I was writing them, and I was like, oh, these are all resonating with me. Performance, approval, control, comparison, perfection, success, keeping everyone happy, fear of disappointing other people. I could tell you 15 stories about each one of those, but I'll just share one. I like to think of myself as like a non-controlling person. I'm so chill. My wife's like, you're not chill. But I find my wife and I have been fostering for years now, and if I share quite a bit about fostering, but it's a centerpiece. And I would love to control the outcome of fostering. People ask us like, hey, how long will the boys be with you? We have 2 boys, 6 and 7. Move past that. And how long will they be with you? I have no idea. When will they go back to their mom? I have no idea. How are they doing? Like, will they do this and will they do that? I don't know. I literally have to take it one day at a time because I don't know. And they're like, well, what, the system, social care system, by the way, it's terrible. It sucks. It makes me so angry. I feel this heavy weight on my shoulders of like how the boys are not receiving as good of a service as they could from a system that is totally broken. And I just feel the weight of that. I would love to control it. I could fix it. Probably not. And then I get this weight of like their family system, of the ways that the boys have been hurt and neglected and all these kind of things. And I feel the weight of that. And it's very, very easy for me to be like, God, I could control this. I can kind of like control the outcomes. Just let me have it. But I have to learn, because by the way, the more I carry that, the more my anxiety goes through the roof, the more I try to grasp at other areas of my life to control those because I cannot control that. Instead, if I just simply let God like go and do his thing, which is really tough to do, I actually can experience some rest at a soul level. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because, by the way, just because I pray for God to take that burden away does not mean that all of a sudden everything is fixed and just my problems disappear. We'll go into that. Check out this picture. It's not AI. It is. It's AI. I love backpacking quite a bit, right? And this would be a terrible backpack to use. But I want you to think about all those things that I told you about, right? Like performance and people pleasing and approval and success and all the things that the world's like, this is what you chase after. These are the expectations that we're going to live our lives by. Over time, they become like this backpack, right? Filled with this heavy burden that you simply cannot carry. And you're on your journey and it's just becoming heavier and heavier and heavier until you burn out, you come to the end of yourself. I want you to know that Jesus wants to come and take these out of your pack for you. Not necessarily that, again, like your problems will disappear, but he wants to take that heavy load. It is not a burden that you necessarily should be carrying, that Jesus wants to carry it with you. And this is important. My second point, Jesus doesn't offer you less responsibility. This is not like, so if I come to Jesus, all of my problems will disappear and life will be really, really easy. No, sometimes I wish Jesus would do that, if I can be really honest with you. I wish Jesus would just like solve all the problems and that would be really great, but he doesn't. What I do know is he offers himself to us, for us to come to him so we do not have to do it alone. Jesus says in Matthew 11:28, come to me. He doesn't say, come to church. He doesn't say, come to better habits. He doesn't say, come to a vacation. He doesn't say, come to religion. He says, come to me, because this is the core of why he died for us, is he wants to have a relationship with each and every one of us. None of this is self-help or like quick fix. If you think I'm up here telling you like, oh, hey, go to Jesus and do this practice, and then in 6 weeks, all of your problems will be gone. It's not that. It is a journey, but when you come to Jesus, you no longer have to walk that walk alone. You have somebody who will comfort you, who will carry your burdens with you. But if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of us will run to other things, right? We'll have a tough week, we'll go through a difficult situation, and we'll go, man, I need to rest. And so we'll go home and we'll throw on Netflix or whatever, streaming service we love the most, and we'll throw that on. And at the end of it, how many of you have ever watched Netflix and at the end of it go, I feel so much better about life. I feel so at peace with it, right? I actually feel like sometimes I watch those things and my anxiety like goes through the roof. Or I fall into the other trap of comparison. My wife and I are watching this really great show called 100-Foot Wave. It's about these guys who want to surf a 100-foot wave. It's very self-explanatory. And all I find myself during that time is a lot of jealousy. I haven't even shared this with her. I go, oh man, I would love to go and like just chase waves with these cool guys and live this sweet life. But all of them have like children and wives and families, and they're leaving them to go and chase these waves. And she's like, they're terrible people. And I'm like, oh, this seems kind of cool. I don't walk away from those things, though, more at peace in my soul, right? We run to other things. We run to other things like alcohol. We run to other things like addictions to try to fill us up, right? But here's the only thing that will fill us up, and that is Jesus. Check out this verse from John 15. This is Jesus talking. I'm the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. Cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. Next slide. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Check this out. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. And this is the key part. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. This is not, again, like I said, a life hack to like more rest and all these kind of things. Go to Jesus. Remain in Jesus. Another verse says the word abide. Spend time with your Creator. I know some of you, I'm going to give you some practice at the end of this, and that may seem really intimidating and overwhelming, the thought of going to Jesus. What does that look like? I'm going to give you some practicality at the end of this. But our hearts are longing for something. And I think we all know this, right? Like there's this like empty part in our hearts, and we go, I think I can fill it with this. I think I can fill it with a promotion at work. I think I can fill it with my relationship. I think I can fill it with whatever, alcohol, TV, whatever it might be. But the only thing that can fill that thing is Jesus. St. Augustine, a very famous theologian, said, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you. If you are thinking that whatever that thing that you run to that isn't Jesus is going to give you the rest that you should be experiencing, it won't. It won't. Jesus is the one who will provide that for you. And again, he doesn't say, I'm going to remove your problems. I'm going to take away these burdens that you're carrying. He actually instead says, I'll carry it with you. I'll walk alongside you. Sometimes I'll like to go hiking with my kids and I'll put a backpack on them. And I'll tell you, no matter how heavy the backpack is, it could be empty. My kids will go, it's so heavy. I can't carry this anymore. I can't carry this anymore. By the way, we are those children. And because we can't carry those burdens. But I don't do this with my kids because I'm trying to be a little bit more like Jesus with them. I don't go, no, sorry, tough it out. You're on your own. Instead, I reach into their pack a lot of times and take something out of there to lighten their load, and I walk alongside them. We do this thing where I like push their lower back up a hill, or I like grab their arm and I like slingshot them up the thing. I don't know if it helps. But I want to walk alongside them. And in the same way, your Father, God, your Father, wants to walk alongside of you with your burdens. I don't know if I could have a little like thought bubble over each one of your heads of what you are struggling with, of the burdens that you are carrying, it would probably be way too overwhelming. Clint says this all the time, and he's right. Don't tell him I said that. That you can never underestimate how much pain is in a room. Because you know it. You're going through something. We all are. But Jesus does not want you to do that alone. He wants to carry it with you. He wants to walk alongside of you. And so in Matthew, this is my third point, in Matthew 11:29, he says, take my yoke, not none, take his. Now I would go back to that picture of a yoke and those two oxen. One thing that's really cool I didn't tell you at the beginning about this yoke is that it would join these two oxen. What was really cool is it would distribute the weight so that the stronger one could carry the majority of it, but still go in a straight line. Because if you just attach like ropes to one and ropes to another, clearly a farmer, you'd go in a circle if you had one really strong one and one really weak one. But the yoke like distributes the weight where the stronger one is working harder and the lighter one is still working, still going through the journey, but the other one is able to carry some of the weight. By the way, that imagery is really beautiful. Sit in that for a second and think about that. Jesus' imagery is pointing to the fact that he's like, hey, I'm not having you do this alone. I don't want you to do this by yourself. I want to walk alongside of you. Those things that you're carrying, I want you to give them to me. He carries what we cannot. John Mark Comer says this, Jesus' invitation is to take up his yoke, to travel through life at his side, learning from him how to shoulder the weight of life with ease, to step out of the burnout society to a life of soul rest. And if I'm honest with you, this is really, really hard. Going back to my control side, I would like to do things my way. I would like to know the outcome of things. I struggle a ton with people pleasing. I hate conflict. I would just like try to erase, like I want none of those kind of things. But when I take the yoke of Jesus upon me, I experience this rest in my soul, this peace in my heart that actually goes beyond my understanding. When I do things my way, I'm riddled with anxiety. Like, oh, what am I going to say to that person? What am I going to do? But when I adopt the way of Jesus, when I take on his yoke, I'm able to shoulder. I love that line. Can we go back to that actually real quick? That quote. Thank you, Henry. You're the best. To shoulder the weight of life with ease. And I want to share some things that Jesus carries for you. Jesus carries your identity. If you go to that next slide, you'll see this kind of all in one. Jesus carries your identity, who you are. You're actually made in his image. You are his son or his daughter. And there's no condemnation over you. I'm not going to read all of those verses, but I need you to understand that there is no like judgment, like you're not doomed, that God has chosen you specifically with love as his son or daughter. It's an amazing thing to think about it. In a world that really struggles to understand who we are, God says, I know who you are. You're mine. Accepted, that no matter what you think you've done that maybe disqualifies you, like oh, I shouldn't be here, church is not for me, Jesus would not be about me. Jesus loves you and accepts you no matter what. Trust me, I'm bringing things to the table in my relationship with Jesus that should disqualify me from his love. The mistakes I've made, the struggles I've got should, but they don't. And that's a really amazing thing if you sit in that and think about it. My future, right? God carries that for us, that burden. You may have some anxiety about what's coming up next. You may want to try to control the outcomes. But if there's one thing we know we cannot have control over, it's how things going to go, right? The future, we can't control that. But God has his hands on that. There's a verse in Proverbs that talks about trusting him for the outcome of things. Think about that with fostering every single day. I would love to know the outcome of things. Like if they were like, hey, you're going to have these boys for exactly 6 months, and so we need you to do this, and at the end of 6 months, it'll be like this. Then I'd be like, okay, I can do this. But it doesn't work like that. And instead, Jesus goes, I want you to trust me. I literally was praying about this the other day, sitting on my couch, chaos around me, and I literally was like, Jesus, when? And I know that sounds terrible. And I literally thought of this. I was like, I just heard the word trust, like trust. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And I just kept hearing this word trust, over, not audibly, but just came to my mind. And I was like, okay, all right, you can have it. I didn't say it quite as nicely. I was just like, Jesus, you can have it. Because I want to control the future, right? Also, some of you may walk in the room and feel real unworthy. Feel like, I'm not good enough. You go to your workspaces or other your neighborhoods or whatever, and you go, I'm not as good as that person. You've been playing the comparison game for a long time, and you go, I'm just not good enough. Jesus says this in 1 Peter, that you are chosen, holy, and beloved. That's crazy. That's crazy. No matter what you think you've done, that Jesus loves you. These are burdens that he says, I've got you. I will walk alongside you. I will carry that thing with you. And so as we close, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and they're going to be on the screen up here. And I actually want you to write this down or take a picture of it or typewrite it. I don't know. Number 1, what burden am I carrying? I want you to actually write this down. I want you to name the thing that you are carrying. What burden am I carrying? I'll share mine. Fostering, I've mentioned. My struggles with addictions that sometimes feel like they're just always going to be there and I'm never going to overcome them. Like my marriage and my parenting, I'm like, am I a halfway decent human being? Sometimes it feels like not. I just feel like this like weight of that all the time. And then the second question I want you to ask yourself is, who told me to carry that thing? Was it culture? Was it the world around you saying, you've got to be this? You've got to do this? Was it your parents? Was it kind of your family system going, this is the way we do things, right? Was it yourself who said, hey, you better be the one to do it. Don't mess up. Is it fear of disappointing people, fear of letting somebody down? And then ask yourself this, have I actually given it to Jesus? Have I actually given it to him? Look, I know that that's like maybe weird language for you if you're new in your faith. Maybe you've been around faith for a long time and it's still weird to you. What does it look like to give something to Jesus? And so I'm going to share just a little strategic thing that you can do every single day. Because this is not theory, by the way. You can actually put these things into practice. I want you to think about every single morning, waking up a little earlier. Maybe that's intimidating for some of you. Maybe 5-10 minutes earlier, going downstairs, same stairs if you're on one level, getting your cup of coffee, sitting down. Don't go on your phone. Don't get on your phone right away. Don't look up the news. Don't look on social media. Don't look at that text message that someone sent in anger and watch your anxiety. Don't do that yet. I want you to go and sit down and open up your Bible. I want you to turn to Matthew 11. I just want you to read it. And I want you to ask these two things to Jesus. What burden belongs to me? And what burden belongs to you? And then just sit for 5 minutes. That might feel intimidating, so you can start with like 1 minute and then work your way up over time and just listen and just be in tune with what he might want to say to you. Because often it's, I didn't give you that to carry, or why don't you give that to me and let me carry that for you and with you. Because here's the thing, religion and the world will often tell you, perform, do this thing the right way. And Jesus just says, no, come to me. Religion, the world will often say, earn it. You've got to earn this. Jesus says, nope, receive it. I just have a gift for you. Religion, the world will often say, prove yourself. And Jesus says, no. I already know who you are, and I love you, and I want you to come to me anyway. You can come as you are to Jesus and just experience his rest and his love. One of the key verses as I close that we are kind of talking about in this Restored series is Isaiah 66:1, and it goes like this. Heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. I want you to know that God isn't like up in heaven, like pacing and like anxious and overwhelmed, being like, oh, I hope he does the right thing. Like, he's not doing that. He's actually seated. I'm going to borrow your chair. Don't hate me. He's actually sitting down. And I want you to know that he has a chair for you. I want you to think about this, right? I want you to think about you sitting down in this chair. Because here's the thing. Some of you have been running, me too, for years. You've been trying harder, working harder, trying to hold everything together under your own power. And today, Jesus is offering you a place to sit down, a chair to rest, not because the burdens are going to disappear, not because your work here is finished, but because striving and earning is done. And he wants you to experience something new, something the world will not and cannot offer you, a rest at a soul level. I'm going to pray over you, and then it's going to be silent for a few minutes. And maybe that'll be new for you. Maybe it'll be a little awkward for you. Feel free to close your eyes, maybe keep your hands open. But as I pray, I want you to ask Jesus that question, is what burdens am I carrying that you never asked me to carry, that I've got to give up to you? So let me pray. Jesus, I come to you, we come to you, weary and burdened. Teach me to stop striving for what you have already given by grace. Help me receive your gentleness, your nearness, and your rest. Show me the burdens I was never meant to carry, and teach me to walk with you. Amen.
We hope you enjoyed today, and thanks again for taking the time just to tune in. If you have any questions about Eastown or what it means to put your trust and faith in Jesus, we have many resources available on our website. If you have more questions than what you can find on the website, simply email us at info@eastown.church, and we would love to connect with you. We believe the church should be making a positive difference in your life and in the community in which we exist. And we can only do that through people's generosity. If that is something you would like to do, simply visit eastown.church/give. And again, thanks again for joining us. Tune in next week. Or hey, better yet, visit us in person. Have a great day.